The public policy process is best described as a cycle that consists of 5 stages. First, problem definition. Second, agenda setting. Third, policy adoption. Fourth, implementation. And fifth, evaluation. For example, serious traffic jams may lead to road improvements, or perhaps development of a mass transit system. Policymakers respond to a variety of political needs and problems like public health, higher education, roads and bridges, public transportation, governance, law enforcement, social welfare, and public education. Then they create legislation or regulations which address these needs as policy. A lack of access to medical care may lead to a new community health center. Contaminated streams and rivers may lead to new environmental protection standards designed to curb pollution and clean up water sources. In order for any of these solutions to occur, policymakers must first be aware of a problem that needs to be addressed. When a problem is defined, an issue can be added to the policy agenda. The policy agenda represents those problems to which policymakers are paying serious attention at any given time. A problem can emerge onto the policy agenda in different ways. An influential public official, such as a governor or legislator, may recommend that the government deal with a specific problem. At the beginning of every Texas legislative session, the governor lists his or her legislative priorities. The lieutenant governor, who presides over the Texas Senate, and the Speaker of the House may also identify priorities and move an issue onto the policy agenda. Another way in which problems emerge onto the policy agenda is through the work of interest groups and their lobbyists. These persons represent the interests of groups and clients who have their own opinions on problems that need to be addressed in public policy. Lobbyists generally accomplish this work through elected officials and the bureaucracy by advocating for certain solutions to problems. Interest groups may utilize the media or grassroots activism to further their cause. Another avenue for setting the policy agenda is through the intergovernmental system and the intragovernmental system. The intergovernmental system refers to the relationships among federal, state, and local governments. For example, the United States Department of Transportation, the Texas Department of Transportation, and a city or county government have a relationship based on working with one another on issues such as roads, traffic safety, and mass transit. Information that is gained through this relationship can place a problem onto the policy agenda. The intragovernmental system refers to relationships that involve the different branches of government. A good example of this is criminal justice policy, which involves the governor, the attorney general, the legislature, several state boards and agencies, and the judiciary. Often, intergovernmental and intragovernmental relationships involve a mandate, in which an action from one branch or level of government requires the others to act in a certain way. A federal program, such as the education program No Child Left Behind, or NICLB, provides a very good example of a mandate. Under this program, the federal government established new education standards that state and local governments had to implement. Texas government established state standards in line with the federal standards and works to ensure that local school districts meet the standards. By creating this mandate, the federal government moved a problem onto the state and local policy agendas. Once a proposal has been added to the agenda, policy adoption begins. Policy is made in a variety of different ways. Legislation may be passed and signed into law by the governor, or a state agency may change a rule or regulation. These can be complex processes. Legislative committees and agency staff may hear testimony and sift through several different alternatives to address a problem. They may ask for reports to project the effects of a policy change before making a decision, and the judiciary may issue a decision on a legal case that affects a policy. During this process, policymakers reach an agreement or consensus on whether and how a policy should be changed. After decision makers agree on a policy, it is up to the elected officials and the bureaucracy to execute the policy. Through the process known as implementation, government agencies carry out the policy as expressed by a legislative act, a rule, a regulation, or legal decision. This requires action on the part of agencies. They must adopt the new policy, and sometimes this requires adjusting budgets in order to accomplish a new task or function, or building new facilities, or developing an infrastructure. Some policies are easily enacted, but others are more complex and require significant work. The final stage of the policymaking process is evaluation. Several different groups and persons may take part in evaluating a policy once it has been implemented. Often, the agencies that implement the policy evaluate the results of their actions to determine whether goals have been met. Legislators provide oversight of policy implementation. Through investigative reporting, the media evaluate the success or failure of a public policy. Academic institutions help to evaluate policy through critiquing policy ideas and outcomes and studying those impacted by policies. Citizens also provide an important evaluative function by responding to policies and news regarding policies through political participation.